Hello everyone, my name is Wei Santhi. I'm here to share my experience with primary hyperaldosteronism or Con syndrome. I made a video about 2 years ago talking about my experience, and at that time it was about 6 weeks before my surgery to remove my adrenal glands. My adrenal gland, so there's two and I was removing one. So that was then, and I intended to give an update after the surgery, but I never did, and it's been over 2 years. So I thought it's about time that I come and give an update, because I did want to keep this as a diary entry, I suppose, of my journey as well. So I'm going to be talking about what happened at the surgery, my recovery, whether symptoms, got better and all that. So, and then, and now what's been happening now. So, just to recap, I had about 5 years before the surgery of just knowing that I may have primary hyperaldosteronism, and the diagnosis took a while. And when I was making the video, it was just a few months after I had my diagnosis that I have the condition, and then I was going to remove my right adrenal gland. So the process, this is just to recap. So the first thing is the screening, where they have to take a blood test to check my aldosterone hormone to the renin ratio. So aldosterone hormone is produced by the adrenal glands, and renin's produced by the kidneys. And if you look at the ratio, if it's high, then the cut-off point, it means that the adrenal glands are overproducing the hormone without needing to. So the renin, so it just means that something is going on than normal, and it's being overproduced. So I was having that for the 5 years. Every time it was high, but then diagnosis took several other steps to make sure that I have the disease. So I had to do like a saline test, where they inject saline water and monitor my blood pressure and my bloods. And then after that, I think, after the diagnosis, I had to do a procedure called adrenal vein sampling, where they do they get the blood sample from my veins near the adrenals, and check which side of the adrenal glands are overproducing. So if both of them are the problem, we can't do anything about it. We just manage this disease with the medication. But if it's showing that it's one side producing much more, again, there are reference ranges to see whether this is a lot more. So it was showing for me that my right adrenals were overproducing. So then we know that it was my right adrenals, and that I could have a surgery to remove and hopefully resolve the issue. So at that time, I was taking 2 types of blood pressure medications, and it was my diastolic blood pressure that is high, which is often the case for people with this disease, as I understand it. So we had the surgery in 2022 July. June or July, I can't remember. And so surgery went well. I think, I was really apprehensive about it at the time of the video, because I had done a laparoscopic surgery 20 years earlier to remove my gallbladder, and I remember really being really painful. I mean, of course, I've never had any surgeries before that, I was still in my, like, young, in my 20s, and it was my first experience, and it was quite traumatic for me. But this time around, I don't know, maybe because I was expecting better. I had, like, my expectations are managed, and also I think I was eating quite well. I was planning for the surgery. I was eating well enough to, heal my wound well, and for my immunity and all that. So I think I was well prepared in terms of nutrition. So had the surgery without any issues, and I was up the same night without assistance from the nurses, going to the toilets. I was hungry. I had an appetite. They gave me sandwiches, but I got back to I was fasting since the morning, and the surgery was supposed to be like after. No, I was asked to go to the hospital at 12, and I fasted since, I don't know, early in the morning, but and the surgery was supposed to be around 2, but it didn't happen until like 6 or 7 o'clock. And by the time I got back to the ward in my room, it was 9 o'clock, and I was starving. So they gave me sandwiches, and it wasn't enough. And of course, the kitchen's closed, so I prepared and took some muffins from home. So I ate that. So yeah, so that showing that I was, pretty well. There was pain, but it was managed well. I didn't have those back pains and muscle pains, and not a lot of that. It was pretty okay. And I got home the next day. The hospital was ready to kick me out. They were kicking me out. In fact, I wanted to stay and try out their lunch. Because they had a new system, and at that time I was a student dietitian. I'm now a dietitian, and I was curious as to the way their food service was, how the food service was. So, but yeah, they didn't give me that chance. I had to go home. So, I think the surgery went well. I had the wound healed well. My appointment with the endocrinologist was, I think, 2 months later. And at that time, we did that ARR ratio, the aldosterone to renin ratio, again to check, and it was showing that it was high. But my blood pressure, I guess it had come down a little bit. My diastolic was looking better. Previously, even with the 2 medications, it could be going up above 100. It could go up to 110. But it's come down to 98 and that sort of thing, or early hundreds. So one of my medication was removed. So then we met again. I had another appointment with the endocrinologist 6 months after that. That would have been 8 months, 8 to 10 months after the surgery. And again, the ARR was high. It was higher than the first time even. So that was mind-boggling, and to me it was like a bit of bad news. I wasn't happy with it. That means that the other adrenal is now acting up. And so when they removed my adrenal gland, they gave me a report with what they found and all that. So it wasn't one tumor. It was multiple little tumors, so it was micro nodules that was causing the problem. Micro nodules in the gland that was causing the problems of overproduction of the hormone. And the endo thinks that it may be the same problem happening in the remaining gland. So that wasn't good news for me, but what can you do? But we did make sure before the surgery, of course, we had, as I was saying, adrenal vein sampling to make sure that it was just that one side causing problem. So, at that time, it was what it was, but now, the second one was also maybe a problem. But in terms of symptoms, my fatigue was gone. I felt like much better in terms of energy and anxiety, and forgetfulness and things like that. I don't know. Like, it could be like I'm postmenopause. Not postmenopause. I'm perimenopause, so I'm going through menopause at the time. I'm still going through, so it could be that kind of symptoms as well. It's hard to tell what's what. Anxiety's there, and not too bad. And then like focusing on my work, studying, but it wasn't as bad as before the surgery, so that I can tell that it had improved. So yeah, and then I had an appointment with the endo again earlier this year. Oh no, late last year, so that was December. So the ARR showing high again. And so at this time, what he suggested was there is a medication that's coming out, and currently there's two medications that manages this disease. One is spironolactone, and the other is eplerenone. I don't know how to pronounce these. So Spiro and Epley in my head, that's all I just say. So I don't like Spiro. I looked at the side effects and things like that, and from what other people said, I don't want to take it. Epley could be the other option, but I really didn't like it then as well. But my endo tells me that the third one that's now is almost coming out is because they're doing tests and things like that. It was going through trials, and it's coming out. It's going to be better. It's going to be more geared towards this disease. I think, I don't even remember how it works, but the mechanism of it, and my memory right now is very vague about it. But it was something about, like stopping the production or stopping the stimulus. To be honest, no, don't quote me on any of this. It's just that there's one drug that is potentially a better drug. So he said I could have that, but that's not formalized yet. I don't think, like, it hasn't been like FDA approved. Again, sorry, I'm just very vague on it right now. So that was that. And then he said that the main hospital here in where I am, Perth, Australia, there's a research going on, and they're going to be doing trials, I think, for the drug, maybe even, for that drug. And that he will, if I want to, he will register me, and they will contact me whether I'm eligible. But they never did. So I was hoping to hear from them since January, February of this year, but I haven't heard anything. So I don't know what's going on. So that would be my only hope, like, if I still have this disease, and it would have to be managed through this way until I die. So that's that. But in terms of other things, my blood pressure, my diastolic, it's high still. So what happened was, after my surgery at home with my home blood pressure machine, the readings were still like high. So I talked to the endo, and he even did like a 24-hour test again. And then it was fine. I think, did he do it? I can't remember. Because I had a lot of those 24-hour blood monitoring. I think I did. So it was fine. And whenever I take it at his office, it was fine as well. My blood pressure was perfect, like, 120, 80 kind of situation going on. And at home, like, some, so systolic is 112, 110, diastolic could be like 75, but then sometimes it was 98. That's when I get like, oh, this is back, my diastolic is back high, so it's back. So, and then at his office, endocrinologist office, if he uses like a thicker, wider band, it's more accurate. So my home one, I think it's a thinner, narrower band, so it could be that, being inaccurate. So that could be the case as well. Anyhow, my endo wasn't that that concerned about my blood pressure. Just just to keep monitoring on the ARR as we progress, as we do checkups every year. So that's my next one is my next appointment is coming in October. So I'm looking forward to that, because I'm going to be running more tests. But in the meantime, I was also worried about my insulin, because I've been reading up a lot about this, and that this disease has an association with insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes and things like that. So I wasn't eating. I think I eat okay, but it wasn't very well in terms of carbs. Like I don't eat a lot of discretionary foods, but yeah, anyway. So my sugar was a little high, but at that time I think I had COVID as well, 2 weeks after COVID, so it could be like high. And so my endo did a fasting insulin check. So it wasn't super high, and it's still like below what we call average, but from my research I think is not great, so this is something that I'm working on. So I've changed my diet quite a bit, and to solve any issues if they are. So I did glucose tolerance tests and things like that to see whether I am diabetic or pre-diabetes. Everything is fine, but in terms of insulin resistance, that like with genetic, being Asian, and with the age going on, and with this disease, I didn't want anything, any of this complication. So I'm just being careful. So I'm quite curious when October comes, when I talk to my endo, if things will improve, since I've made quite a bit of changes in terms of my lifestyle. I've been exercising quite a bit. I'm incorporating weight training now to maintain my muscle mass and strength, and hopefully grow muscle as well, because as we know, muscle will help with the metabolism of glucose, and that will really help with lowering glucose levels, things like that. So and insulin responsiveness. So I've been doing multiple things to help me in the long run. Even if I have the condition still, and if I have to manage it for the long run, because with this condition, then there could be kidney issues, because of hypertension, kidney issues, cardiovascular, and if type 2 diabetes come along, there's just going to be this perfect storm going on. So so that's what I've been doing with my life. Other than that, so I think because I've been eating well and exercising as well, my energy is like really great right now, so I can't complain. But yeah, my diastolic is still a little, high in my mind, and it's, the readings are giving me sometimes in the 90s, but it could be an inaccuracy. So I'm not sure. And so I'm still taking one medication, but compared to from what it was before, it's reduced, so it's quite manageable. I'm quite happy with it. But if we do just to find out that if I still have this disease for a long term, I would rather take the medication that is more targeted towards this condition. So that's what it is. That's my progress report after 2 years and a few months of the post surgeries. So that's all it is. I hope everyone is well. Like I said last time as well, please do check out the Facebook group for Corn syndrome, primary hyperaldosteronism. They have great support there, and you will find a wealth of resource from people. If you have any questions, I really recommend that Facebook group. It's all monitored well. The admins are great, so you just you don't get all these unscientific kind of treating methods coming along. It will be all you know, based on the science. So yes, that's all it is. Goodbye, and I maybe, yeah, in a year or two I might come back again to give you the report of how I'm going. Bye.